Hi, I'm Chris Collier. I'm the host of Conquer with Chris, the podcast you don't want to miss. Today, we have a wonderful guest. We have Teresa on. Teresa, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
Well, why don't we give you a moment, let you tell a little bit about yourself to the people.
Well, a little bit about myself. I definitely will always say the first thing for me is I'm a mom, and I consider moms multiple operational managers so much, right? And then I am also someone that just has taken lived experience and figure out how to create business out of it, whether it be a mother or having a background in business. So I consider myself a live life expert. I teach other people how to do the same thing, and I have a business that focuses on moms and business.
Wow, that's wonderful. So let's go back a little bit because you weren't always a mom and you weren't always an entrepreneur.
Uh,
Let's go back and how did this all start to happen for you? How did this all start to matriculate together? So let's go back. Let's get your origin story about how all this came together. Early times, whether they're high school, teens, younger, college, where you start having these entrepreneurial thoughts.
Right. Well, that's cool. So for me as a kid, I always wanted to be a mother and a businesswoman. So I always either had some doll babies or I had my mom. My mom actually bought me real Pampers for my Cabbage Patch dolls. She would go into like thrift stores and buy me real baby clothes, and I would have the real strollers. I would have all the real stuff for my babies, my doll babies. And then I also enjoyed business, so I would always be writing on paper or acting like I'm answering the phone, like I was working in a place that was business. Like, hi, this is Teresa. But fast forwarding out of those early childhood years, maybe about middle school, I started my first babysitting business. And so my first babysit business officially, maybe about 13 or 14 years old, I had a few kids. My dad was a teacher and one of his friends needed help with their kids. And so I would be like the mommy helper or whatever when they were there or very close to home. I would watch the kids. As I got a little older, I started being able, as an older teenager, I was like, all the teachers like, hey, we're going to a party. Does anybody have a kid that babysit? And everybody's like, you, Teresa. So it got so big that I had to like hire some other kids, me, some other babysitters. So I was like, hey, maybe if I was getting paid $11, like, hey, if you come and work with me this weekend, I'll provide snacks and I'll pay you $8 an hour or something. So I started my first real like I learned early. Get them some snacks and give them less than what I make. And so the teachers would like go to big parties, and it would be like one person's house or two people's houses where they would have sitters at. And so I would say, hey, I'll stay here, and I would be with one or two of the other teen sitters, and then the other teen sitters might be at the other house. So I started doing that in high school. And it just became a passion. So by the time I was graduating from high school, I decided, you know what, I think I want to be a teacher or early childhood professional. But then I want to go to school for business. And then I thought about it. I said, I don't want to be a teacher. I think I did learn and do some early childhood training, but then I decided to pursue a business degree. And I went that route. And that was good. But then I got married early and started having children. And daycare was very high. And so we did daycare for quite some time and nannies and all that stuff. And then I had another child. And I said, wait a minute, I need to figure something out. So I started a daycare in my home. I was unfortunately going through a divorce and I didn't want to pay for daycare. It was too high. I didn't want my child with just anybody. I had gone and got some additional early childhood training. So I started a daycare as close to mother's care as possible, and everybody just stopped. And that just meant that like I taught or I treated the children I watched like if it were my own child. So we went out, we had like real trips all week. The trip might be to the grocery store, Funniest thing, one time I had maybe five or more 2-year-olds with me, and this lady said, "Oh, your kids are all gorgeous." I'm like, "Lady, do you think I could really have five 2-year-olds?" You know, she's like, "They're how old are they?" And I'm like, two, two, and two. She's like, "Oh," so that's where I started. Started as a little girl, always liked baby dolls. Then I had that daycare, and then the daycare went into nanny business. And I realized I didn't like dealing with kids as much as it seemed like I loved dealing with parents because I was helping them. And so I became a certified parent educator, and that's where the wins.
Wow, 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 wow. And so, what were some of the character traits that you say helped you become successful?
Well, one thing that I failed to mention, I had one of my children was born with special needs, and all my children were born as preemies. So some of the characteristics that helped me be successful is one, tenacity and being resilient. So I had a daycare, I was a nanny, all these things. I had been a married mom, a divorced mom. So tenacity and resilience and just a love of children and of life. And then also being very open to get training. So before I left my ex-husband, I went back and got that early childhood training because I was like, listen, I'm about to make this daycare happen. So making sure that you are searching for additional training, and whether even if it's for business or self-improvement, to continue to improve your life. So I have been literally, before I came on this podcast today, I just saw another certification I just finished. Like, I've been an avid learner, life learner all my life. So I think that's one of the very important things.
That's great. That's great. I would say that one of the things I've learned is to know, you got, and one thing it seems like you know how to do too is know when to pivot, right? Because the end of the day is you can have all the knowledge, but as we found out during the pandemic, if you don't learn to pivot, you're gonna be left high and dry. Because a lot of people were left high and dry. A lot of businesses dried up because they didn't pivot. You know, so pivoting is, and as a mom, pivoting is very important because you go from like cooking, laundry, having to teach or train or discipline children. So, and the tenacities, I think that's good for every entrepreneur, but especially mompreneurs, right? Uh, so, what is your goal now with your mom coaching program?
So I have a business now. Actually, I had mommy care as my nanny business and all that stuff, and I realized I was really helping coach moms, with the moms talking to them more than the kids a lot of times. And then I had, at this point, I had my business degree and my early childhood certifications. And so my goal with motherhood is what you just said, with motherhood and my mom Biz Boss business. That's my business now, Mom Biz Boss. Um, we've combined everything that I enjoy doing and learn via the journey of being a mother and a businesswoman and just surviving life. So we've combined motherhood, parenting, business awareness. And my goal is, just like you said a few minutes ago, being a mother is just like running a business. My goal is to help those ladies that are interested in also running a business, but they're also a mom, and maybe they also, look, I used to be the PTA president, maybe they still volunteer at the PTA. My goal is to teach them how to effectively integrate all of those things and still have time for their self and their family effectively. So my goal is to teach them and have resources for them in parenting, whether their child is a typical child or a special needs child. Now, mind you, I'm not doing that all alone. I brought a community of hundreds of women together to do this. And so that's my goal, is like to have resources for moms in regards to education, not only just like at school, but education for themselves, not just their children. It could be about health systems or healthcare. It could be about, you know what? I was at the store the other day, and this lady, she had young children. I said, "Hey, have you ever heard of this website?" And she was like, "Thank you so much." Just gave her a website where she could find things and activities to do with her children. All those things that mothers may know or need, and collectively bring different people together, different women together, so that we can be better together and help our children more, and then be a support system for each other. So my whole thing is like, create a tribe. tribe gets you further than you being alone.
That's great. That's great. And what is it that you hope to be able to do in the future? Like you've got a good track history, and it sounds like you're going good now. But do you have another goal beyond this, besides helping mothers? And
Yeah, so my goal beyond this is to expand my brand and expand what I do, helping mothers, but to be able to be more of a thought leader and speak more nationally and locally to mothers and organizations about the topics that we focus on in Mom Biz Boss, such as motherhood and parenting, or even, special needs, as well as, I told you I'm all about that. Continue to learn. Now I'm more moving over to the mental health, maternal mental health field, and I have some certifications there, like talking about how motherhood and parenting begins even before birth, and giving resources and knowledge and connecting with people on that level as well.
wow, 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 wow. And do you have any favorite quote? Do you have a favorite quote at all?
Yeah, one of my favorite quotes is so funny, and it was from when I was younger, but it was about life is not interested in the storms you encountered, but did you bring in the ship? That reminds me of resiliency and tenacity. Like a lot of times people were like, yeah, you encountered that, but what did you do about it? Okay, what did you do about it? Life has a lot of struggle and things happen, whether you're a parent or a business owner. But do you fold up and let your ship sink, or do you figure out a way for it to sail and to get to the next destination? So that's always going to be one of my favorites, because people really aren't really interested in the storms you encounter. They're interested, what was the end story? I understand the backstory, but what was the end story?
That's good. That's good. Good stuff. And where can people find you?
The best part, especially for that part of my business, finding me at Mom Biz Boss. That's MOMBIZOSS.org, mombizboss.org, where we believe that motherhood is just like a business and that moms are multiple operational managers.
And that link will be found in the description below, whether you're on YouTube or on the audio version. I want to thank my guest, Teresa Wright Johnson, for being on today. Thank you so much. And for all you for listening, thank you and have a great day.